Howdy ho. Welcome to the Meyers-Briggs Personality test. Now, some people say that this is total BS. Some people say that there is no weight at all to this. Some people live by this. They're like, oh my god, what's your Meyers-Briggs personality type? I'm an INTJ, okay? You know, stuff like that. But, like I approached the Zodiac thing in the last video, I'm kind of coming to this with half skepticism, half open-mindedness. I've done plenty of these before. We did it in school. I had a friend. He was obsessed with this kind of stuff. And I haven't done it in a while. And I know that the theory of this is that it's supposed to change over time. That it changes over time. So we're going to see what I get this time. You regularly make new friends. Okay. Not now, but when I was around people, I would say probably yes. I was able to regularly become friends with people. You spend a lot of your free time exploring various random topics that pique your interest. Kinda. Yeah, nah. Seeing other people cry can easily make you feel like you want to cry too. Sometimes. Okay, so if I'm emotionally invested in the person, definitely. But if I'm not totally emotionally invested in the person, it either makes me feel uncomfortable or I just laugh at them. But like, if it's a family member, yes. If it's a friend, yes. If it's a character on like a TV show or something that I've related to, yeah. Especially if they're men. Seeing men cry, and especially with the context of, you know, the weight of the sorts of things that make men cry, like the lengths that the world has to go to break a man down to tears. It's friggin' depressing. So yeah, it makes me want to cry too. So I'm gonna say yes. No, hang on. You often make a backup plan for a pet. No. Usually stay calm even under a lot of pressure. No, probably not. At social events, you rarely try to introduce yourself to new people and mostly talk to the ones you already know. Yes. Oh god, I can't imagine going to like a party or something where there wasn't people that I knew. You prefer to completely finish one project before starting it. Well, hang on. Yes. Yeah, because I will get overwhelmed if I do too many things at once. You're very sentimental. No, not really. No. You like to use organizing tools like schedules. No, I hate that. I hate having that much structure in my life. Even if it's self-imposed structure. It always feels constricting. Even if my life without it is less eventful than it would be with the structure, I hate the fact that it would be structured. You know, like if I had a calendar and I listed out days that I had to like go exercise or something, like I wouldn't exercise normally without that, but having that in place makes me not want to do it. Makes me want to do the opposite. So, you know, wacky. Even a small mistake can cause you to doubt your overall abilities and knowledge. I don't know. You feel comfortable just walking up to someone you find interesting and striking up a conversation. No, I do not. You're not too interested in discussing various interpretations and analyses of creative works. You're not too interested. No, I am not Wait. No, I'm not interested. No, No, I'm not interested. I'm not... No, comma. I disagree with the assertion that I'm not interested. I am interested, so I disagree with the assertion that I'm not. There we go. You're more inclined to follow your head than your heart. Yes? Okay. In my personal life, I would say that I'm probably more inclined to follow my wants and desires, my heart. But when speaking about issues that expand past me, you know, that like political issues that affect the world or the country, or other sort of social issues like that affect many people, I will default to the logical side. Because I think that that's what's best. But for me personally, in my personal life, I would be more likely to go with feeling and gut. So probably disagree on that, because that's what is more prevalent and more important, is how you master your life through the personal lens. Because you can't affect the other stuff, the broader stuff. You can't affect any of that if you haven't first squared away yourself. So that is the more important aspect of life, and so I will err on that side. You usually prefer just doing what you feel like at any given moment instead of planning a particular daily routine. Yeah. You rarely worry about whether you make a good impression on people or people you meet. I always am thinking about how I come off to people. I don't usually fret about it later, but approaching the moment that you're talking to somebody, and while you're talking to somebody, I am very conscious of how I come off to people, and that sucks because I am a very off-putting looking person. I've got too much hair. Enjoy participating in group activities. I do, actually. I enjoy participating in group activities, as long as they're people that I know. You know? Well, not even necessarily. As long as there's at least one person that I know. Because if there is that one person, that anchor to, that one person who I am comfortable with and knows me, then they sort of act as an anchor to me, my true personality self. And so I find that when there's like one person around that has that anchor effect, I can pretty much interact with strangers well, unless they're older. If they're significantly older strangers, then the like that like southern hospitality sort of like respect your elder sort of thing kicks in. It's like, yes ma'am, no ma'am, you know, but that's different. You like books and movies that make you come up with your own interpretations of the ending. Yeah, I guess. Your happiness comes more from helping others accomplish things than your own accomplishments. Yeah, okay. Yes, I like to be helpful towards people and do things with them. But I do realize that, like I was saying before you can successfully and effectively help the people outside of yourself and the world outside of yourself, you have to conquer the world within yourself. You know, you have to be a master of your own being before you can effectively be the rock or the help or whatever to other people. So yes, I do more enjoy helping other people, but I do realize that the importance of helping yourself in a lot of ways has to come first before you can be that for other people. You're interested in so many things that you find it difficult to choose what to try next. Interested in so many things that you find it difficult to choose what to try next. No. Nah. I kind of have my things, and then I just do it. You're prone to worrying that things will take a turn for the worse. Well, you're prone to worrying that things will take a turn. I'm not, like, constantly in a state of worry that, like, oh, everything's gonna go wrong. I generally think more optimistically that things are gonna turn out fine, but there is always, you know, that sort of thought, like, but what if it does go wrong? You know? I'm gonna give that a solid meh. You provide leadership roles in group settings. No. Unless I have to. And then I do it with a lot of struggle. You're definitely not an artistic type of person. I'm an artistic person. Excuse you. I'm very artistic. I do photography and digital art. Excuse you. Oh, yes. You think the world would be a better place if people relied more on rationality and less on their feelings? Yes. When it comes to, as I was saying earlier, when it comes to the broader, bigger picture things, because when you're dealing with so many people, every single one of those people has different feelings and emotions on a certain subject, and so it's better to err on the side of rationality and logic than to try to include everybody's emotional feelings in it. And if everybody was on board with that, things would be fine. You prefer to do your chores before allowing yourself to relax. If I have tasks laid out in front of me that I am obligated to do, I would prefer to do them as quickly and as effectively as possible before I nut. So sure. You enjoy watching people argue. Argue? No. Debate? Sure. But argue like a purely emotional, circular back and forth that kind of doesn't go anywhere and makes everybody feel bad? No. No. You tend to avoid drawing attention to yourself. Yeah, sure, yes. Your mood can change very quickly. No. You lose patience with people who are not as efficient as you. Yes? Yeah. Not, like, too bad. I'll be like, ugh, and then, like, move on, you know? You often end up doing things at the last possible moment. No. Not really. You have always been fascinated by the question of what, if anything, happens after death. Yes. You usually prefer to be around others rather than on your own. Okay. Alone time is very important to me. It's very important to me, but it is important to understand that when I am having my quote-unquote alone time, I am usually watching YouTube videos, and specifically the types of channels and creators that do more conversational style of video. And so in a way, that's still having that social interaction, even though it's a one-sided interaction. But in a way, that pseudo social kind of interaction kind of fills that. And when I'm tired of being alone, I really do enjoy being with other people and just like being present with people. Even if we're not actually like talking or doing anything, I enjoy being present with people because, you know, you could talk or you could do something, you know, just having that So, I think that I would usually prefer to be around others. Yeah, I would agree with that. Because if I'm on my own and I'm not doing anything and it's just quiet, then that's when the like mental whirlwind starts going on inside my head, and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to think about things. You become bored or lose interest when the discussion gets highly theoretical. No, I'll talk about theoretical stuff. Unless it's like theoretical science, because then it gets like, the heck are you talking about? Like, my brother was trying to tell me how scientists have theoretically figured out that time travel theoretically can exist because of some math they did. And it's like, what the heck does that mean? How did you crunch some numbers and be like, well, time travel must be real? Like, what? Anyway, I'm not going to get into theoretical physics and do all that, because that's a rabbit hole. You find it easy to empathize with a person whose experiences are very different from yours. And experiences are very different from yours. To empathize. I'm trying to think if there's been... Yeah. Usually postpone finalizing decisions for as long as possible. Yeah. I don't like making decisions. You rarely second guess the choices that you have made. No, I do a lot of second guessing sometimes. After a long and exhausting week, a lively social event is just what you need. Oh, dude, yeah. I wish I was in a position where I could do more of that kind of stuff, like go to concerts and things like that, but I'm not right now. You enjoy going to art museums? I did. The one time that I did. Yes. You often have a hard time understanding other people's feelings? No, I wouldn't say so. You like to have a to-do list for each day? Absolutely not. You rarely feel insecure? No, sometimes I do. But it's usually not like superficial insecurity. It's more like emotional insecurity. Like, am I not doing enough for this person? Am I not presenting myself as a good enough person? Did I come off as uninviting to this person? You know, it's that kind of stuff. Like, retrospectively, am I doing enough to present myself as a viable person to be around? I guess you could say. You avoid making phone calls. I hate phone calls. I hate talking on the phone, because there's like that, there's no visual to it, so there's that disconnect where it's like, because when you're in the presence of somebody, it's easy to slip into a sort of smooth communication, because you're able to emote with your body and see their feedback as their immediate feedback in their body and their emotions and everything. And so it's easy to get into that rhythm of just having a natural conversation with somebody. But when it's on the phone and it's just their voice and a bad quality version of their voice to boot, it gets difficult to like be natural with that, you know? You often spend a lot of time trying to understand views that are very different from your own. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do, dude. In your social circle, because if you, back to the last thing, if you don't understand what you're opposed to, then how can you say that you're opposed to it? You know? If you don't fully understand where people are coming from and what they're saying and why they believe these things, then you really have no place in saying that they're wrong, because you don't know. You have your own beliefs, and on a surface level, they might contradict with something that somebody else is saying. But if you don't take the time to understand where they're coming from, what they're talking about, what they mean, what they actually believe, then you're doing yourself and them a disservice. Because you're not learning, you're not giving them the benefit of the doubt, and then you're just going to butt heads. And that's what a lot of the political discourse and social political discourse of the modern day is. It's just people not understanding each other. They're sort of just like right past each other because they're not taking the time to try to understand. They're just like, I don't like what you said, so I'm gonna fight against you. And then it's like, well, you don't really understand what I'm trying to say. Because, honestly, if you do that and you try to take the time to understand other people in their positions and where they're coming from, what they mean, you'll usually find that there's more agreement than disagreement on most issues. Because most people are fighting for the same things. They want the same things, you know. Like with the gun control thing, like, everybody wants people to stop, innocent people to stop getting slaughtered. Duh. That's like a universal, everybody wants that. But because people aren't taking the time to try to understand each other and why there is a dissonance and an inability to agree on that fact, they stop there. There seems to be this sort of idea that one group is more compassionate and the other group doesn't really care about the dead people and blah 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 blah. But that's not true. Everybody cares about the dead people. Nobody wants anybody to get, any innocent person to get killed for no reason, you know. But those, like, the surface visceral reactions to each other is where people tend to stop, and they don't dig deeper and find out, like, oh, one side just wants, they're concerned that the presence of more guns with law-abiding citizens increases the risk of law-abiding citizens to become unabiding citizens, and then use those guns to kill people. That's their sort of concern, is that, like, the more guns that are present in the public, the more chance that there is for people to snap and kill people, or for the guns to land in the hands of other people, and then, you know. And then the other side is saying, like, the opposite. They're saying the more guns there are, the less likely that there is that those sorts of things will happen, because they'll be able to be stopped and preempted. And nobody's really getting to those roots of the argument, because the argument is like, the argument for most political things is like tiers. There's like the surface tier of the rhetoric, what people are saying. Then there's another tier down of like proposed solutions, and then the final tier is like what people actually believe, the roots of their argument, the bedrock of their argument. And, you know, in most political discourse, you barely ever scratch the surface of the second layer. It usually stops at the rhetoric and sometimes bleeds into solutions, but it usually doesn't go to the root in the discussion of the actual philosophical differences between the two opposing groups. So it's important to try to dig to that, to dig down and dig to that and find out what the philosophical bedrock of any person's argument is, you know, so that you can fully understand it and then have a civil conversation about it. Because the more you understand about something, the less angry you're going to get about it. Because if you have conquered that knowledge and you understand it, then you can rationally step back and look at it through a lens of understanding and then effectively counter it if that is still what you are about. Anyway, that was all to say that you should probably try to understand people. That's videos for another time. I've wanted to do like conversational videos on current events and stuff, to just kind of like air my opinions and stuff, and that sort of bled into that just now, but we're going to move on now, because I'm not going to talk about that stuff anymore. In your social circle, you are often the one who contacts your friends and initiates activities. Yes, when in school, yeah, when I had a friend group, when I had a friend circle, yes, I probably was the one who was like, hey, let's go you want to go do something? You know, if your plans are interrupted, your top priority is to get back on track as soon as possible. Yeah. You are still bothered by mistakes that you made a long time ago. Sometimes. Usually not, but sometimes. You rarely contemplate the reasons for human existence or the meaning of life. No. Sometimes. I won't, yeah. Your emotions control you more than you control them. Yes. Yeah. You take great care not to make people look bad. We'll downgrade that one. You take great care not to make people look bad, even if it is completely their fault. No. If they made a mistake, then they need to live up to that. They need to fully embrace the discomfort and the consequences. And they need to realize that they look worse off now. Yeah. Your personal work style is closer to a spontaneous burst of energy than organized and consistent efforts. Absolutely. When someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will take them to feel disappointed in you. Kinda. You would love a job that requires you to work alone most of the time. Yes, please. You believe that pondering abstract... Okay, so here's the thing about that. In times of leisure, I would prefer to be with people, to enjoy activities in life and stuff with people. But when it comes to work, when I'm doing something for the sake of importance, I guess, like cooking, I cook. I am the family cook. I cook dinner most nights. I cook for everybody. That's my thing. That's my zone. Nobody enters that zone. You know, even if it's a lot of work, even if it's a lot to do, I would rather do it myself. Be the only one in the kitchen, in my zone, listening to music, whatever. In my zone, doing the work. But then, once the food is done, I'm not going to eat it alone. I'm not going to eat my meal alone. I'm going to go sit with the family and enjoy the family time. You know, enjoy the fruits of my labor with people. Enjoy their company and all of that. So, when it comes to work, yes, I must be alone. To have my space and my time to just do it. You believe that pondering abstract philosophical questions is a waste of time? No. Absolutely not. It's a whole... No, it's definitely not a waste of time. Well, no, it's not a waste of time. Engaging your brain as often as possible is very beneficial. You feel more drawn to places with busy, bustling atmospheres than quiet, intimate places. Yeah. You know at first glance how someone is... What? I'm gonna give that a meh. I don't know. I'm kind of torn between that. You know at first glance how someone is feeling. Less so than yes, so. You often feel overwhelmed. Yeah. With a few things, yeah. You complete things methodically without skipping over any steps. I try to, but I'm not very good at it. You are very intrigued by things labeled as controversial. Absolutely. Are you kidding? Of course. You can pass along a good opportunity if you thought someone else needed it more. Depends on to which degree the person needs it more. If I was in competition for like a job position for somebody that's just like straight up homeless, then I'd probably be like, yeah, okay. I'm not gonna take a job away from a homeless person. Like, I'm in a good place where I can go without being employed for a bit longer. That person necessarily cannot. So it depends. I'm not really gonna comment on that one. You struggle with deadlines? No, not really. You feel confident things will work out for you? Yeah. Oh, we're done. I am male. Mediator, INFP. So that's introverted. Let me see if I can remember. Introverted, intuitive. No, I can't remember. I'm the mediator. Look at him. He's a hobbit. It's a little hobbit. Okay, so I'm 50% introverted and 43% extroverted. I think that's about right. That I'm more introverted than extroverted, but not like extremely introverted. Like, I can cut a rug. 68% intuitive versus observant. This trait shows where we direct our mental energy. Intuition, like people and situations, rather than just... Yeah, I guess I can see that. More feeling than thinking. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Prospecting versus judging. I don't know what prospecting entails. Turbulent versus assertive. How confident we are in our abilities and decisions. More turbulent than assertive, but kind of even. Yeah. Okay. No, thank you. Oh, look at her. She's like Freya. INFP, A or T. What's the difference? Yeah, what is the difference? Assertive mediator versus turbulent mediator. So I'm a turbulent mediator. Too much or too little. When it comes to self-regard, as a group, mediators are more likely to boost someone else's self-esteem before they tend to their own. Even sometimes at their own expense, yeah. However, when identity separates the two kinds of mediators, a pronounced difference emerges. We find that one personality type tends not only to put others ahead of themselves, but also to be harder on themselves than others. Turbulent personality types are typically not comfortable with their current lives. They often use this dissatisfaction to try to become better people. Yeah. However, when applied to mediators, this turbulent quality spins them in a distinct direction. They are likely to use a strongly idealistic filter to assess where and how they need to improve. This drive to correct what they decide are flaws often pushes them to work hard. But idealism is a demanding standard. Turbulent mediators are apt to ask too much of themselves and become overwhelmed. I would agree with that. When they don't meet their unyielding, perhaps at times unreasonable goals, they are likely to be hard on themselves. Self-criticism rings true for any turbulent individual, but for these personalities, their imaginations and sensitivity may magnify the damage caused by negative self-talk. Even the smallest flaw may seem more significant than it is. They are more likely to see a mistake as a reason to doubt themselves. Yeah, probably. For example, 85% of terms say they consider themselves to be lazy people compared to 66. Yes. Yeah, I would say so. I would say that I do that. For example, turbulent mediators are likely to describe themselves as lazy more often than assertive mediators and most other personality types, all except two. But a neutral assessment may reveal this to be not entirely accurate. All other things being equal, turbulent people generally work hard to compensate for what they see as a weakness. The lazy label doesn't fit, typically. The poor self-evaluation of their work ethic is just as likely the result of their negative slant as it is a measurable reality. Okay. So I gotta watch out for self-doubt. Gotta watch out for that. And I do. I'm aware. I'm aware that I can be unreasonable sometimes when it comes to personal expectations. But I feel like completely disregarding that doubt can be destructive too, because then you become complacent with... Because then it's like, oh, I don't need to worry about that. That's just unreasonable. And so then I kind of like revert back to just kind of being like, well, things aren't as bad as I thought. And then you kind of get like, what's the word I used? You get stuck in complacency, and then you don't try to push forward. And I find that I do that a lot, because the logical side of me is like, oh, disregard the unreasonable stuff that you think about when you're trying to go to sleep at night or whatever. But then my emotional side is like, well, you need to do it sometimes. But I'm more logical than I am emotional a lot of the times. And so it's like, I get stuck in that pattern of complacency where I'm like, I don't need to worry about it because it's not as big as a deal as I thought it was, even though it is still kind of a big deal. Anyway. Introduction. Although they may seem quiet or unassuming, mediators have vibrant, passionate inner lives. Creative and imaginative, they happily lose themselves in daydreams, inventing all sorts of stories and conversations in their minds. Yes, these personalities, yeah, absolutely the conversations part. These personalities are known for their sensitivity. Mediators can have profound emotional responses to music, art, nature, and people around them. Yes, music. Music and nature, specifically. I get in the feels, you know. I can sometimes be like that stereotypical sort of hipster type that's like, oh, I'm just feeling the music, man. Like, oh, it's like coursing through me. Idealistic, because especially with music, because if it's a song that I really enjoy and connect with a lot, I can very much get into it and like lose myself into it, you know, as cheesy as that sounds. Idealistic and empathetic mediators long for deep soulful absolutely, and they feel called to help others. Yeah. This is like my one and only long-term goal in life, is to have a strong partnership, strong romantic partnership with a woman, a wife, girlfriend, whatever. And to have that sort of like unbreakable, like we are partners in life sort of thing, where like she cares for me as much as I care for her, and we need each other as much as each other needs each other. You know, that sort of thing, where it's just like an unbreakable, that is my one hope for life, is that I can find something like that. And especially pair that with like a family, with kids, yeah. And they feel called to help others, absolutely. I've always said that if I ever come into an exorbitant amount of money, if I ever become rich from something, from whatever I do, and in fact, it would be, I have often thought that it would be within my interest to pursue something that would make at least a decent amount of money, that I would use that money to help people, because I don't need to live any sort of exorbitant lifestyle. I don't need to be like indulge, you know, I don't need a big house and fancy clothes and all that stuff. I don't need that stuff. Like, I can just live in a normal, like, suburban family house and shop at Walmart for my clothes, you know? I'm perfectly content with that. So if I ever had money, then I would put most of that money into helping people, you know? Because what else are you going to do with it? You know, if you're not going to use it on yourself, then what else are you just going to keep it? You're just going to sit on it? No. Spread it around. Help people, you know? Where was I? Yeah. But because this personality type makes up such a small portion of the population, mediators may sometimes feel lonely or invisible. Adrift in a world that doesn't seem to appreciate the traits that make them unique. Yeah, I guess. All that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost. The old that is strong does not wither. Deep roots are not reached by the frost. And it's just Bobo. Or Frodo. No, it's Bilbo. It's Bobo. It's Bilbo. And look, it's it's the dragon. The gift of empathy. Mediators share a sincere curiosity about the depth of human nature, introspective to the core. They are exquisitely attuned to their own thoughts and feelings, but they yearn to understand the people around them, yeah. Mediators are compassionate and non-judgmental, always willing to hear another person's story. When someone opens up to them or turns to them for comfort, they feel honored to listen and be of help. Yes, so that, I feel like, for me, is, as cheesy as this will sound, that is the spice of life, as they say. Like, that is the sort of thing that makes life interesting. Hearing and listening to other people, to hear what they have to say, explain themselves. I always love to watch videos and things where people just talk about what they think, how they feel, to hear their side of, and kind of just like understand how they think and how they work through that. For mediators, an ideal relationship of any kind is one in which both people feel comfortable sharing not just their wildest hopes and dreams, but also their secret fears and vulnerabilities. Yeah. Empathy is among this personality types, and that sometimes would worry me when I had a lot of people around in my life. Because not everybody else was the same way. They weren't willing to be that close, that open, and that comfortable. And I had to, and it was a struggle sometimes to come to terms with the fact that I had to respect those boundaries, you know? Because I cared for those people, and so it was very much like I need to be that for them. I need to be there and do the things that I need to do, you know. It's sort of that, like, selflessness, if that makes sense, where, like, you have that desire and that yearning to be there for somebody, be the rock for somebody, be good for them. And it was sort of for self-gratification as well as knowing that you've helped someone, that sort of thing. But with that, I think I'm going to split this up into multiple videos because this is really interesting, and I'm getting really introspective and talking about stuff, and there's a lot of different categories here, so I'm going to split this up into multiple videos. So next time, we're going to keep going and keep learning about me. I'm learning about myself, you know, thinking about it, going through it. So until then, goodbye.